Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Before I get started, I want to go ahead and say that the fans are running in the background because it is a hot day today, so hopefully that does not interfere too much. Getting started with the verse of the video, I will be in Luke chapter 6 verses 43 through 45. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. These three verses are very interesting because it just acknowledges that if you are a good person, then you're going to bear good things. If you're an evil person, you will bear evil things. And it's better off bearing the good things because evil cannot bear good. It's just fake. Evil just bears fake. And it's not something that we need to be striving for. We should be trying to bear good things. And it also says in the very last part of verse 45 that for out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. What we speak and what we say from our mouths should be reflecting what we truly feel in our hearts. And then when we recognize that, that is how we realize how being a good man, being a good person, out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good. Because if the things that we speak reflect the things of our heart, and the things of our heart are good, then we will bear good treasure. We will bear good fruit. Strive to be good. Do not strive to be evil. Thank you guys for listening to that verse of the video. If you listened to it, awesome. I hope God blesses you. If you did not, I hope God blesses you either way. Now, getting into the juicy bit of the video, we have Vilgax from Ben 10. This is my first Ben 10 lore video, and I'm very excited about this because I grew up with Ben 10, and this was always a bigger universe to me than Star Wars was when I was younger, and I still do like Ben 10 more than Star Wars today. And with Ben 10, one of my favorite parts about this universe is the amount of villains that are in this universe. There's a lot. There's more comical villains in Ben 10, and there's more serious villains in Ben 10. And the spectrum is so wide, like there's just so many. However, one of the greatest villains, actually the greatest villain in this universe, is Vilgax. Starting off with the lore of Vilgax, we're going to touch base on what is Vilgax. Vilgax is a male chimera sui generis from the planet known as Vilgaxia. Another name for this species is the Vilgaxians. I love the name of this species because Chimera is the name of Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer in Star Wars. Sui is like sushi, and that is important in a little bit. I'll get to that. Then generous is a reminder to how generous Vilgax is to his people a little bit later on, but we'll get to that. I also love the similarities to the name setup to the Star Wars character Kaiman J. Sheila, which is Grievous. So the reason why the Sui is like sushi is important because the Chimera sui generis is a squid humanoid species. So it's like this humanoid species with a squid head. It's really cool. Now moving on to, well, who is Vilgax? We know what he is, but who is he? Vilgax's true origins are a mystery. They always have been. He came from a place known as the Shadow Realm, which is a strange system of planets near a rift into the Null Void. Now the Null Void is really interesting because it is a prison dimension that they send prisoners and powerful beasts that really can't get controlled and all that kind of stuff. So it's a place where there's some pretty big baddies there. There are also just some criminals there as well. It's not the only prison area in Ben 10 universe, but this is the most prominent. If you're sent to the Null Void, you're not supposed to be returning or coming out of the Null Void. He is also several centuries old, and anyone who would know of his exact past and origins would no longer be around to tell the tales. On his homeworld of Vilgaxia during his youth, younger ages, during the Earth year of 1773, he would be exiled because of his ambitious disobedience. Yeah, just, you're no longer welcome here because you ambitiously disobey everything. Now, part of this would be because Vilgax believes that he knows better, and in many of the cases, he would be right. Later, he would find a distress signal during his exile on Earth from a time-traveling alien. He would help this alien named Moltront in exchange for a Chronosapien time bomb. Now, Moltront is a Chronosapien, that is the species name, like these time-traveling alien things. And so Vilgax wanted this Chronosapien time bomb in exchange for helping Moltront. So, all of a sudden, George Washington and a time-traveling 16-year-old Ben Tennyson would show up to stop the deal. It's crazy, but it'll make sense, okay? Just bear with me here. Vilgax had no idea who Ben was yet. So this is long before Ben would actually be around, because Ben was around like the early 2000s. So, yeah, long before that. And one of the things that would happen, though, during this encounter is that Vilgax would end up seeing the Omnitrix in action, which would begin Vilgax's want to know more of this device, but still such a huge mystery as to what this even is. Vilgax wanted to have more power and control over multiple galaxies. There were multiple galaxies that made up the Ben 10 universe. He would be able to obtain a multitude of resources, including a vast number of ships and soldiers and wealth. With this want for power and all these resources, Vilgax would become known to many in the universe as multiple things, but a noteworthy title at this time would be Crime Lord and Conqueror. With this quest for power would come to be Vilgax getting recognized by a secret intergalactic security force known as the Plumbers. This would happen because as a young Vilgax, he attempted numerous times to steal nuclear warheads from military bases on Earth. He would be thwarted by two young plumbers, Max Tennyson and Phil Billings. Vilgax would get stuck to a nuclear warhead and launched into his own ship. Vilgax would survive and continue working in the shadows as he grows his forces and studies the rumors of a device known as the Omnitrix. Vilgax's species, the Chimera sui generis, is a very strong and survivable species. High resilience, man. And they can survive literally just about anything. They have only a couple of weaknesses where you can actually defeat them, but there's not many. Moving on to while Vilgax was working in the shadows and he grew his forces, what kind of forces were those? You know, he commanded a huge army, so what was this army? The forces that Vilgax would command for most of his time would be bioids and mecha droids, who are machines programmed to serve him as crew and soldiers. Just because they were machines did not mean that they were a small threat. His flagship, the Chimeran Hammer, would be his main vessel and also his main dwelling, his home. Even though Vilgax was exiled when he was younger, he still cared for his people, and he would return as the role of leader and champion. Also, with all these things at his command, he was skilled and strong enough on his own to survive almost anything and defeat everything, like I already mentioned before. Vilgax would one day during the present day lock onto and follow a ship that has the Omnitrix. The chase would end over Earth as the Chimeran hammer would take out the ship's engines. The ship would fire back a powerful laser beam, almost destroying the entire bridge and Vilgax along with it. The Chimeran hammer would fire its main railgun at the small ship to destroy it. The ship would launch a small capsule to Earth containing the Omnitrix. With this, the Omnitrix would lock onto a young boy named Ben Tennyson, and with him finding it, it would latch onto his left wrist. Ben would start messing around with the watch while on vacation with his cousin Gwen and their grandpa Max Tennyson. Vilgax gets the report that the Omnitrix is on Earth. He is in a medical tank similar to a Bacta tank from Star Wars. He orders one of the drones to find and retrieve it. This drone was classified as an attack robot. They stand 40 feet tall, with head and torso more humanoid, but also having 3 insectoid legs. The attack robot would find the crash site and report that the device is gone. Vilgax, growing angrier in this Bacta tank, tells his crew to order the robot to locate the device. The robot would end up being destroyed by Ben Tennyson using an alien called a Petrosapien, but Ben would name him Diamond Head. After some time, while Vilgax heals and reconstructs himself, he would hire 3 bounty hunters to retrieve the Omnitrix. These 3 bounty hunters would be known as Tetrax Shard, 66, and Crab. These hunters would pose a stronger threat to Ben, his cousin Gwen, and their grandpa Max. The only reason they would be victorious would be because Tetrax would have a change in heart after actually seeing the Omnitrix is real. He would defeat 66 and Crab and reveal to the Tennysons that he is a Petrosapien himself, which is the same species as Diamond Head. He would use this cool cube thing to shrink and capture the other hunters, just like Pokemon, then would give Ben his own hoverboard before departing, and then leaving Earth, and Vilgax notices this. With these events, Vilgax's assumption is that the wielder of the Omnitrix must be a powerful warrior, and he just continues to wait in this Bacta tank aboard the Chimeran hammer that is in or on above the Earth, and he just waits to see what he can do next. And that is going to be it for part 1 of the Vilgax lore, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think of the Ben 10 series. I do want to let you guys know that this is based off of the classic series, not the reboot. So, there's that. But let me know what you guys think about this series. And also, what do you guys think about Vilgax, more importantly? Do you think that Vilgax sounds like a really good villain? Do you think that villains now these days are created aren't as good as a story or anything as villains were back then? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Consider subscribing and notifying that bell to be notified of future videos. And other than that, have an awesome